I think we should praise you, TreeClix, for actually putting your product in a scientific study.
It's quite amazing the difference you can make with the 5 millimeters.
Only half a centimeter, but it was such a big difference.
How do you on-site change the saddle quickly and get instant feedback from horse and rider without hustling too much?
It's not rocket science, it's not complicated. It's actually very simple. I must say it was really born out of frustration. Even though I was taught that horses should broaden when they were fitted with a correct saddle and well trained, I found horses actually narrow down. What I also found is if you press a tree narrower, then due to the outward forces during riding, the tree just widens as quickly as you've narrowed it down. So that was not an option. We were taught to build it up with felt or leather. But it just takes at least 20, 30, 40 minutes sometimes. And then you put it on the horse and then you doubt. Because who was I to decide that this tree width was more suitable for the horse?
We were, as a company, also struggling with the same problems that probably every fitter and every other brand does. Back in the days, we had to send the saddle back to our workshop, had someone working on it, so we had no instant feedback and we could only pray for the solution to be the right one. Funny enough, we also had some self-shaved felt parts that we partially put underneath our tree points in order to get the results that we wanted. But it was not as sophisticated as the TreeClix solution is.
It's not rocket science, it's just simple adjustments in steps of 5 millimeters.
What I feel is that when we use the TreeClix and when you measure the horse and when we make the adjustments, you feel that they lift the withers and then also the contact gets softer and easier and the horse feels more natural and you don't have to put so much effort as a rider. And I think when you do it more often, when the horse knows it, it's like they are speaking. They really show when it's good.
For me, the value as a saddle fitter is mostly the adaptability. I like to measure, to go testing and see which direction the horse leads you. It's quite amazing the difference you can make with the 5 millimeters, and it's so much easier for them to liften the withers and coming more under from the hind and get the expressive gait we would like with the Icelandic horse.
Still, after getting a lot of feedback from saddle fitters and riders, there was a lot of doubts and fear and criticism. And I think it has to do with fear, and that's really something that I understand. And this is exactly the reason why we wanted to have a research done. Most of us from the equine world know Centaur Biomechanics for their great research that they do together with Woolcroft. That's Mark and Diane Fisher. We wanted them to investigate or to research, does a saddle fitted with TreeClix give more pressure under the tree points compared to a saddle that is set to the same width without TreeClix?
Our objectives were simple: to quantify the effect that the TreeClix system has on saddle pressure distribution and equine locomotion. So what did we do? Well, 10 sports horses were recruited and they were ridden by 2 riders. We also used a saddle pressure mat, which was positioned beneath the saddle, and the saddle mat was synchronized with video. And then we had the markers on the horse. So what did we find then? Here we have the saddle force, and what you can see is there's not very much difference. Now I'm showing you the mean pressures. From a statistical perspective, we found no significant differences between the 2 saddles when walking or trotting or cantering in the front part of the cranial part of the saddle. We did find a slight increase in mean pressure for the TreeClix saddle in the caudal part of the saddle when cantering. This was less than 2 kPa difference. So the difference is tiny. It could be as a result of saddle rider interaction, but as an overview, there was very little difference between the 2 saddles. Now I show you the peak pressures, and we found very little difference again, and no significant differences between the 2 saddles when walking, trotting, or cantering. Moving on now to look at our transitions. So we found no significant differences in the peak pressures between the 2 saddles when performing these canter, trot, halt transitions. Let's move away from the pressure and let's look at the horse's movement patterns. We found no significant difference in the horse's symmetry parameters with the TreeClix or the comparison saddle. So in effect, the horses didn't become more asymmetrical. So we don't accept our hypothesis because we didn't find a statistically significant difference in the front part of the saddle, the cranial part of the saddle, in respect of mean pressures, peak pressures in walk, trot, canter. And we didn't see any difference in the transitions. We didn't have high pressure beneath the saddle, and the horses were moving in the same way.
I hope today we showed that TreeClix is safe to use and it does not increase pressure, but also that it's way more than just that.
I think it makes sense, people's assumptions. I can understand where they've come from, but I think we should also praise you, TreeClix, for actually putting your product in a scientific study, because, you know, we're all here to protect the horse and safeguard the horse. And there's a lot of claims out there that we just don't know enough about. It's so important, whatever saddle you've got, that it is fitted for that horse, and regular checks and working with your qualified saddle fitter and your team and making sure that the saddle, whatever saddle it is optimal for the individual horse.
You say something so right. We all just want to be sure that we're not compromising horse welfare. The sole intention behind TreeClix was just for me as a saddle fitter that I really wanted to do it better.